On March 17, 1897, traveling salesman Marcus Webb stumbled into the sheriff's office in Pine Ridge, Idaho, his clothes torn and blood streaming from a deep gash across his forehead. He had been running for 18 hours through dense wilderness, surviving on creek water and wild berries, driven by one terrifying thought: he had to warn someone about the Bellinger family before they killed again. Webb had witnessed something that would haunt him for the rest of his life: an entire family who had turned their remote trading post into a systematic slaughter operation where 74 travelers had checked in over the past decade, but only silence had checked out. The Bellingers didn't just rob their guests. They had developed an elaborate system for harvesting human organs, which they sold to unscrupulous doctors across the frontier, turning mass murder into a profitable medical supply business that treated human beings like livestock. This is the chilling story of the Bellinger family, whose remote Idaho trading post became the epicenter of one of the most organized and profitable murder operations in American frontier history. For 12 years, they perfected the art of luring travelers to their isolated outpost, killing them with medical precision, and selling their organs to a network of corrupt physicians who asked no questions about the source of their surgical supplies. The Bellingers didn't kill for passion, revenge, or simple robbery. They killed for profit, turning human anatomy into commodity and transforming their frontier hospitality into an industrial-scale harvest of death that would forever change how America understood the relationship between medical progress and moral corruption. The Bellinger family established their trading post in 1885 in a remote valley of central Idaho, approximately 30 miles from the nearest settlement, and positioned along one of the few viable routes through the treacherous mountain passes that connected mining camps with supply stations in the valleys below. The location was strategically perfect for what would become their systematic murder operation, isolated enough to muffle screams and prevent witnesses, yet positioned along essential travel corridors that guaranteed a steady supply of potential victims. The family consisted of patriarch Ezra Bellinger, a former army surgeon whose medical knowledge would prove crucial to their organ harvesting operation; his wife Martha, whose maternal demeanor concealed a calculating intelligence that managed the business aspects of their criminal enterprise; their eldest son Jacob, whose physical strength made him ideal for subduing victims and disposing of evidence; daughter Sarah, whose charm and beauty were used to lure male travelers into vulnerable positions; and youngest son Isaac, who despite being only 16 had been trained in the family's murder techniques from an early age. Ezra Bellinger's medical background provided the technical expertise that distinguished the family's operation from simple frontier violence. His surgical training during the Civil War had given him intimate knowledge of human anatomy, advanced understanding of preservation techniques, and connections within the medical community that would prove essential for establishing their organ trafficking network. More importantly, his experience treating battlefield injuries had desensitized him to human suffering and death, making the transition to systematic murder a natural evolution rather than a moral crisis. The trading post itself was designed and constructed with the family's criminal intentions in mind, featuring hidden chambers, soundproof rooms, and sophisticated disposal systems that enabled them to kill and process victims without leaving evidence that might attract unwanted attention. The main building appeared to be a typical frontier trading post, but careful examination revealed modifications that served no legitimate commercial purpose. The basement area had been expanded and divided into specialized sections, including holding cells for living victims, surgical facilities for organ extraction, preservation areas for maintaining harvested organs in optimal condition, and disposal systems for eliminating bodies and waste products. These facilities represented the heart of the family's operation and demonstrated the systematic planning that had gone into their criminal enterprise. The organ preservation techniques employed by the Bellinger family were adapted from medical procedures that Ezra had learned during his military service, combined with innovations developed through years of experimentation on human victims. The family had created one of the most sophisticated organ processing operations in the American frontier, capable of harvesting and preserving human anatomy with the efficiency of a commercial slaughterhouse. The surgical instruments used by the family included specialized tools that Ezra had acquired through his medical contacts, along with equipment that had been modified or custom built for their specific needs. These instruments enabled precise organ extraction while minimizing damage that might reduce the commercial value of harvested materials, demonstrating the family's systematic approach to maximizing profits from their criminal activities. The preservation solutions used by the family included various chemical compounds that maintained organ viability during transport to buyers, enabling them to establish reliable supply relationships with medical practitioners across the frontier region. These solutions were prepared according to formulas that Ezra had developed through experimentation, combining legitimate medical knowledge with innovations derived from processing dozens of human victims. The first confirmed victim of the Bellinger family's systematic operation was Thomas Henderson, a government surveyor who arrived at their trading post in September 1885 during a mapping expedition. Henderson was traveling alone with valuable equipment and detailed maps that made him an attractive target for robbery, but his death marked the beginning of the family's evolution from simple murderers to systematic organ traffickers. Henderson's murder was committed by Ezra, using medical techniques that ensured minimal damage to valuable organs while creating the appearance of death from natural causes. The surveyor's body was systematically processed in the basement facility, with usable organs preserved and packaged for sale while remaining tissue was disposed of through methods that eliminated evidence of the family's activities. The commercial success of Henderson's organ harvest convinced the family that they had discovered a uniquely profitable criminal enterprise that combined their isolated location, Ezra's medical expertise, and the growing demand for anatomical specimens among frontier medical practitioners. This success established the pattern they would follow for 73 subsequent victims over the next 12 years. The victim selection criteria developed by the Bellinger family were based on careful evaluation of travelers' potential value as sources of healthy organs, combined with assessment of the risks associated with their disappearances. The family preferred victims who were young, healthy, traveling alone, and unlikely to be missed immediately, while also considering the commercial value of specific organs that different individuals might provide. The luring techniques employed by the family included Sarah's role as a charming hostess who made male travelers feel welcome and secure, Martha's maternal care that appealed to younger victims seeking comfort during dangerous journeys, and the family's reputation for honest dealing that encouraged word-of-mouth recommendations from travelers who survived their encounters. The killing methods used by the family evolved considerably over their 12-year operation, with techniques becoming increasingly sophisticated as Ezra refined his approach to maximize organ viability while minimizing evidence of deliberate murder. Early victims were killed through relatively crude methods that damaged valuable organs, but later murders employed precise surgical techniques that preserved anatomical specimens in optimal condition. The organ harvesting procedures developed by the family represented some of the most advanced surgical techniques available on the American frontier, combining Ezra's military medical training with innovations derived from processing dozens of human victims. These procedures enabled efficient extraction of hearts, livers, kidneys, lungs, and other organs that could be sold to medical practitioners for substantial profits. The quality control systems implemented by the family included systematic evaluation of harvested organs to ensure that only specimens meeting commercial standards would be offered for sale, while damaged or inferior organs were disposed of through their waste management systems. This attention to quality enabled them to establish reliable business relationships with medical practitioners who demanded consistent products. The packaging and shipping systems developed by the family enabled them to transport harvested organs across vast distances while maintaining viability and avoiding detection by authorities. These systems included specialized containers, preservation solutions, and shipping arrangements that disguised the true nature of their commercial activities. The customer network established by the family included corrupt physicians, medical schools, and research institutions throughout the frontier region who were willing to purchase human organs without asking questions about their sources. This network provided steady demand for their products while also creating financial incentives for expanding their murder operation. The pricing structures developed by the family were based on careful market analysis that considered the rarity and commercial value of different organs, along with the costs and risks associated with their criminal activities. Heart and liver specimens commanded premium prices, while more common organs were sold at lower rates that still provided substantial profits. The financial management systems employed by the family included methods for laundering profits from organ sales through legitimate business transactions, while also maintaining detailed records that enabled them to track inventory, customer relationships, and operational expenses. These systems transformed systematic murder into a profitable business enterprise. The expansion planning conducted by the family included consideration of establishing additional processing facilities in other remote locations, along with development of more sophisticated transportation and marketing systems that would enable them to increase their production capacity while reducing the risks associated with their criminal activities. The seasonal operations conducted by the family reflected their understanding of travel patterns and demand cycles that affected both the availability of victims and the market for harvested organs. Spring and fall provided optimal conditions for attracting victims, while winter months were used for planning and equipment maintenance. The psychological dynamics within the Bellinger family reveal a complex system of shared criminality that enabled multiple individuals to participate in systematic murder while viewing their activities as legitimate business operations rather than moral atrocities. Each family member played essential roles that made the others' contributions possible, creating interdependence that reinforced their criminal activities. Ezra's role as technical leader and chief surgeon provided the medical expertise necessary for profitable organ harvesting, while also establishing the philosophical framework that justified their criminal activities as contributions to medical progress. His background as a military surgeon enabled him to view human bodies as materials to be processed rather than as people deserving of moral consideration. Martha's contributions included managing customer relationships, coordinating shipping arrangements, and maintaining the legitimate trading post operations that provided cover for their criminal activities. Her maternal appearance and nurturing demeanor made travelers feel safe and welcome, while concealing her role in their systematic exploitation and murder. Jacob's physical capabilities made him essential for subduing victims, managing disposal operations, and maintaining the physical infrastructure necessary for their organ processing activities. His strength and intimidating presence also provided security for the family's criminal operations, while deterring potential threats from suspicious visitors. Sarah's beauty and charm were weaponized to attract male travelers and create emotional connections that made victims more vulnerable to the family's murder techniques. Her role required sophisticated psychological manipulation skills that enabled her to gain victims' trust while evaluating their potential value as sources of harvestable organs. Isaac's youth and apparent innocence provided perfect cover for gathering intelligence about potential victims, while his systematic training in the family's criminal methods ensured continuity for their operations across multiple generations. His education in murder and organ trafficking began at age 10 and prepared him to assume leadership responsibilities as the family's operation expanded. The victim processing procedures employed by the family included systematic approaches to restraining, killing, and harvesting organs from living victims while maintaining optimal conditions for preserving anatomical specimens. These procedures represented the culmination of years of experimentation and demonstrated the family's evolution from opportunistic killers to professional organ traffickers. The holding facilities constructed beneath the trading post enabled the family to keep victims alive for days or weeks while evaluating their potential value and waiting for optimal market conditions for selling their organs. These facilities included cells designed to maintain victims' physical condition while preventing escape or communication with the outside world. The torture techniques employed by the family served multiple purposes, including entertainment, information extraction about other potential victims, and conditioning that made victims more compliant during the organ harvesting process. These techniques included both physical and psychological methods designed to break down victims' resistance while maintaining their physical condition for organ extraction. The killing procedures developed by the family were designed to preserve organ viability while ensuring quick and efficient deaths that minimize noise and mess. These procedures evolved considerably over the years as Ezra refined his techniques based on experience with dozens of victims and feedback from customers about organ quality. The organ extraction techniques used by the family represented some of the most advanced surgical procedures available in the 1890s, adapted specifically for the requirements of commercial organ trafficking. These techniques enabled complete harvesting of valuable organs while maintaining anatomical integrity necessary for medical and research applications. The waste disposal systems developed by the family included methods for eliminating all traces of their victims' bodies after valuable organs had been harvested, along with procedures for disposing of blood, tissue, and other materials that could not be sold commercially. These systems were essential for preventing discovery of their criminal activities. The evidence elimination procedures employed by the family included systematic destruction of personal effects, documents, and other materials that could link missing persons to their trading post. These procedures were coordinated with victim processing activities to ensure that no evidence survived that could expose their criminal enterprise. The customer service systems developed by the family included procedures for managing relationships with corrupt medical practitioners, coordinating delivery schedules, and handling customer complaints about organ quality. These systems enabled them to maintain steady demand for their products while building reputation within the underground medical supply market. The market development activities pursued by the family included systematic identification of potential customers, evaluation of demand for different types of organs, and development of marketing strategies that promoted their products without revealing their criminal sources. These activities transformed systematic murder into profitable business enterprise. The competitive analysis conducted by the family revealed that they possessed significant advantages over other sources of human organs, including their remote location, medical expertise, and systematic processing capabilities. This analysis enabled them to establish dominant position in their market while charging premium prices for superior products. The quality assurance programs implemented by the family included systematic testing and evaluation of harvested organs to ensure they met customer specifications, along with procedures for handling defective products and managing customer complaints. These programs enabled them to maintain high customer satisfaction while building reputation for reliable service. The logistics management systems developed by the family included sophisticated procedures for coordinating victim processing schedules with customer demand, managing inventory levels, and ensuring timely delivery of products to buyers across the frontier region. These systems enabled efficient operation of their criminal enterprise while minimizing operational risks. The security procedures employed by the family included methods for detecting potential threats to their operations, managing suspicious visitors, and eliminating witnesses who might expose their criminal activities. These procedures were essential for maintaining operational security while continuing their systematic murder and organ trafficking activities. The beginning of the end for the Bellinger family's systematic killing operation came in March 1897, when Marcus Webb's arrival at their trading post coincided with a planned organ harvesting session that provided him with direct observation of their criminal activities. Webb's survival and escape marked the first time in 12 years that someone had witnessed their methods and lived to report them to authorities. Marcus Webb was the experienced traveling salesman whose survival instincts and knowledge of frontier dangers enabled him to recognize suspicious circumstances and take appropriate precautions when he began to suspect that the Bellinger family posed a threat to his safety. His commercial experience had taught him to evaluate people and situations carefully, skills that proved essential for his survival. The circumstances of Webb's escape included his discovery of human remains in the trading post's basement, his observation of organ harvesting equipment and procedures, and his realization that other recent guests had been systematically murdered for their anatomical value. These discoveries prompted his desperate flight through dangerous wilderness to reach authorities in Pine Ridge. The investigation that followed Webb's report was led by U.S. Marshal William Crawford, who assembled a team of experienced investigators and medical professionals to examine the evidence and assess the credibility of accusations that seemed almost too horrific to believe. The investigation would ultimately reveal that Webb's account understated, rather than exaggerated, the extent of the Bellinger family's crimes. The raid on the Bellinger trading post was conducted in April 1897, with extreme caution due to the family's known willingness to use violence against potential threats and their intimate knowledge of local terrain that could provide escape routes or defensive positions. The operation involved surrounding the property and conducting simultaneous searches of all buildings and facilities. The evidence discovered during the raid confirmed Webb's accusations and revealed that the scope of the family's crimes exceeded even his detailed descriptions. Investigators found sophisticated organ processing facilities, detailed records of murders and organ sales, preserved human remains, and correspondence with customers that documented a criminal enterprise spanning 12 years and 74 victims. The organ processing facility discovered in the basement represented one of the most sophisticated criminal operations uncovered in American frontier history, featuring surgical equipment, preservation systems, and storage facilities that enabled systematic processing of human victims for commercial organ trafficking. The facility's capabilities demonstrated the systematic nature of the family's crimes. The business records recovered during the investigation included detailed documentation of murders, organ sales, customer relationships, and financial transactions that provided comprehensive evidence of the family's criminal activities. These records enabled investigators to identify victims, trace organ sales, and understand the full scope of the trafficking network. The victim identification process was complicated by the systematic disposal of human remains, but investigators were able to match personal effects and fragmentary evidence with missing person reports from across the region. The investigation ultimately confirmed 74 murders committed over 12 years, making the Bellinger family responsible for one of the largest serial killing operations in American history. The customer network exposed through the investigation included corrupt medical practitioners across the frontier region who had purchased human organs while ignoring obvious evidence that their suppliers were engaged in systematic murder. The revelation of this network shocked the medical community and led to significant reforms in professional oversight. The trial of the Bellinger family began in Boise in October 1897 and attracted national attention as prosecutors presented evidence of systematic murder and organ trafficking that exceeded anything previously documented in American criminal history. The case challenged public understanding of both criminal behavior and medical ethics, while establishing legal precedents for prosecuting organized criminal enterprises. The prosecution's case documented the systematic nature of the family's crimes, the sophistication of their organ trafficking operation, and the extent of their customer network. The evidence was so extensive and disturbing that many spectators were unable to remain in the courtroom during testimony about the family's methods and the condition of their victims. The defense strategy attempted to portray the family members as victims of Ezra's influence and control, arguing that his medical authority and psychological manipulation had coerced other family members into participating in criminal activities against their natural inclinations. However, the systematic nature of the crimes and evidence of enthusiastic participation by all family members undermined these claims. The verdict reflected the jury's horror at the betrayal of trust and violation of basic human decency, represented by the family's crimes. All family members were convicted on multiple counts of murder in the first degree, with sentences ranging from death for the adult males to life imprisonment for Sarah and Isaac. The executions of Ezra and Jacob Bellinger were carried out in Boise on February 14, 1898, drawing thousands of spectators who came to witness justice for crimes that newspapers described as the most heinous in Idaho history. Martha received life imprisonment and died in prison in 1923, while Sarah and Isaac served lengthy sentences before being released in their later years. The impact of the Bellinger case on American medicine and law enforcement was profound and lasting, leading to improved oversight of medical professionals, better systems for tracking organ sources, and increased awareness of the potential for criminal exploitation of medical advances. The case also contributed to development of forensic investigation techniques and criminal psychology understanding. The victims of the Bellinger family deserve to be remembered as individuals whose trust in frontier hospitality, was exploited by predators who viewed them as sources of profitable organs rather than human beings deserving of basic respect and protection. Their deaths contributed to awareness and reforms that improved safety for frontier travelers while establishing precedents for prosecuting organized criminal enterprises. The 74 confirmed victims included merchants, prospectors, government officials, and other travelers whose contributions to frontier development were eliminated by the family's systematic exploitation of their anatomical value. Each death represented not only individual tragedy, but also loss to communities that depended on the courage and determination of people willing to risk dangerous travel for economic and social progress. The legacy of the Bellinger family's crimes continues to influence discussions about medical ethics, criminal justice, and the importance of maintaining oversight systems that prevent exploitation of vulnerable populations by individuals in positions of trust and authority. Their case serves as permanent reminder that technological and medical progress must be accompanied by moral safeguards that protect human dignity and prevent commodification of human life. In the end, the deadly legacy of the Bellinger family's hospitality stands as one of the most systematic and calculating examples of organized murder in American frontier history, demonstrating how criminal enterprises could exploit isolated locations, professional expertise, and market demand to transform human beings into commercial commodities through systematic violence that challenged basic assumptions about civilization and moral progress. The deeper investigation into the Bellinger family's organ trafficking operation revealed sophisticated techniques that went far beyond simple surgical extraction to encompass elaborate systems for victim selection, systematic processing, quality control, and commercial distribution that transformed human anatomy into a profitable commodity market serving corrupt medical practitioners across the frontier region. The victim evaluation protocols developed by the family included detailed assessment criteria that considered not only the commercial value of potential organs, but also factors including victim age, health status, body condition, and the likelihood that their disappearance would trigger official investigation. These protocols were systematically applied to every traveler who sought accommodation at their trading post. The age-based selection criteria preferred victims between 18 and 35 years old, as organs from individuals in this age range commanded premium prices from medical customers while also providing optimal tissue quality for surgical and research applications. Younger victims were occasionally selected when their organs showed exceptional quality, while older travelers were typically allowed to continue their journeys unharmed. The health assessment procedures employed by the family included systematic examination of potential victims to identify those with robust cardiovascular systems, healthy liver function, and other indicators of organ quality that would translate into higher commercial value. These assessments were conducted under the guise of friendly conversation and casual observation during meals and social interactions. The body condition evaluation focused on identifying victims whose physical fitness and nutritional status indicated optimal organ development and preservation potential. The family preferred travelers who appeared well-nourished and physically active, believing that their lifestyle would produce superior organ quality compared to individuals who showed signs of malnutrition or sedentary living. The social status analysis conducted by the family evaluated victims' likelihood of being missed by family members, business associates, or government officials who might initiate searches or investigations if they failed to reach their destinations. Isolated travelers with minimal social connections were preferred targets, while individuals with prominent positions or extensive networks were typically allowed to depart safely. The wealth assessment procedures included systematic evaluation of victims' financial resources and valuable possessions that could be claimed in addition to their organ value. The family had learned to identify subtle indicators of hidden wealth, including quality clothing, expensive equipment, and behavioral patterns that suggested access to substantial financial resources. The travel pattern analysis involved careful questioning of victims about their routes, destinations, and schedules to determine optimal timing for murder that would maximize the interval before their absence might be noticed. Victims traveling on flexible schedules or to distant destinations were preferred targets, as their disappearances could be delayed or explained more easily. The killing schedule coordination reflected the family's systematic approach to managing victim processing in relation to customer demand for specific organs and optimal preservation timing. The family maintained detailed calendars that coordinated murder activities with commercial requirements and seasonal factors affecting both travel patterns and medical demand. The surgical preparation procedures developed by Ezra included systematic conditioning of victims prior to organ extraction to optimize tissue quality while minimizing damage that might reduce commercial value. These procedures involved controlled nutrition, exercise regimens, and medical treatments designed to enhance organ condition during the final weeks before harvest. The anesthesia techniques employed during organ extraction procedures were adapted from battlefield surgery methods that Ezra had learned during military service. These techniques enabled him to keep victims unconscious during surgical procedures while maintaining physiological functions necessary for preserving organ viability during extraction and processing. The surgical extraction methods refined by the family over 12 years of operation represented some of the most advanced organ harvesting techniques available in the 1890s. These methods enabled complete removal of hearts, livers, kidneys, lungs, and other organs while maintaining anatomical integrity necessary for successful transplantation or research applications. The organ quality assessment procedures included systematic evaluation of harvested organs to identify those meeting commercial specifications while rejecting specimens that showed signs of damage or disease that might affect their market value. This quality control process enabled the family to maintain reputation for reliable products among their customer base. The preservation solution preparation involved complex chemical processes that maintained organ viability during extended storage and transportation periods. These solutions were prepared according to formulas that Ezra had developed through experimentation with dozens of human victims, combining medical knowledge with innovations derived from systematic organ trafficking experience. The packaging and shipping systems developed by the family enabled secure transportation of harvested organs across vast frontier distances while maintaining tissue viability and concealing the true nature of their commercial activities. These systems included specialized containers, temperature control methods, and shipping arrangements that avoided official scrutiny. The customer relationship management conducted by Martha included systematic cultivation of relationships with corrupt medical practitioners who provided steady demand for human organs while maintaining discretion about their sources. These relationships were essential for sustaining the family's criminal enterprise over extended periods. The pricing structure development reflected careful market analysis that considered organ rarity, surgical difficulty, preservation requirements, and transportation costs in establishing rates that maximized profits while maintaining competitive advantage over alternative sources. Heart and brain specimens commanded the highest prices, while more common organs were sold at rates that still provided substantial margins. The inventory management systems included sophisticated procedures for coordinating organ harvesting schedules with customer demand while maintaining optimal storage conditions that preserved tissue quality during the interval between extraction and sale. These systems enabled efficient operation while minimizing waste of valuable products. The market expansion activities pursued by the family included systematic identification of potential new customers, development of marketing strategies that promoted their products without revealing criminal sources, and establishment of distribution networks that could support increased production capacity. The competitive analysis conducted by the family revealed significant advantages over alternative organ sources, including their surgical expertise, preservation capabilities, and reliable supply chain that enabled them to establish dominant market position while charging premium prices for superior products. The financial management procedures developed by the family included sophisticated money laundering techniques that converted organ trafficking profits into legitimate assets while avoiding detection by authorities who might question the sources of their wealth. These procedures enabled them to accumulate substantial assets while maintaining their facade as honest frontier merchants. The record-keeping systems maintained by the family included detailed documentation of murders, organ sales, customer relationships, and operational procedures that enabled systematic management of their criminal enterprise, while also providing evidence that would later prove crucial in their prosecution. The security protocols implemented by the family included early warning systems for detecting potential threats, procedures for managing suspicious visitors, and contingency plans for eliminating witnesses who might expose their criminal activities. These protocols were essential for maintaining operational security over 12 years of systematic murder. The psychological dynamics within the Bellinger family during their criminal career reveal complex systems of mutual dependence and shared culpability that bound them together in systematic murder, while enabling each member to maintain psychological stability despite participating in horrific activities. Ezra's role as patriarch and technical leader provided intellectual framework and medical expertise that justified their criminal activities as contributions to medical progress, while also establishing operational procedures that maximized profits from systematic organ trafficking. His military background enabled him to view human bodies as materials for processing rather than people deserving moral consideration. Martha's contributions to the family enterprise included customer relationship management, financial planning, and operational coordination that transformed systematic murder into profitable business activities. Her maternal appearance provided perfect cover for their criminal activities, while her calculating intelligence managed complex commercial relationships with corrupt medical practitioners. Jacob's physical capabilities made him essential for victim restraint, facility maintenance, and waste disposal activities that supported the family's organ trafficking operation. His intimidating presence also provided security for their criminal activities while deterring potential threats from suspicious visitors or competing criminal organizations. Sarah's beauty and social skills were systematically exploited to attract male victims and gather intelligence about potential targets, while maintaining the family's reputation for honest dealing among travelers who survived their encounters. Her role required sophisticated manipulation abilities that enabled her to evaluate victims while appearing genuinely helpful and concerned about their welfare. Isaac's youth provided perfect cover for intelligence-gathering activities, while his systematic education in the family's criminal methods prepared him to assume leadership responsibilities as their operation expanded. His training began at age 10 and included instruction in victim assessment, surgical assistance, and business management that prepared him for full participation in their criminal enterprise. The victim processing procedures employed by the family included systematic approaches to capture, restraint, conditioning, and surgical processing that maximized organ quality while minimizing operational risks. These procedures represented the culmination of years of experimentation and demonstrated the family's evolution from simple murderers to professional organ traffickers. The capture techniques used by the family included methods for subduing victims without causing damage that might affect organ quality, along with procedures for transporting unconscious victims to processing facilities without alerting other guests or casual visitors. These techniques were refined through experience with dozens of victims and enabled efficient operations. The holding facilities constructed beneath the trading post included cells designed to maintain victims' physical condition while preventing escape or communication with potential rescuers. These facilities enabled the family to keep victims alive for weeks while evaluating market conditions and coordinating with customers who had placed specific organ orders. The conditioning procedures implemented during victim captivity included controlled nutrition programs, exercise regimens, and medical treatments designed to optimize organ condition prior to extraction. These procedures were based on Ezra's understanding of physiology combined with experimentation that determined optimal preparation methods for different organ types. The psychological torture methods employed by the family served multiple purposes, including entertainment for family members, information extraction about other potential victims, and conditioning that reduced victim resistance during processing procedures. These methods included both physical and psychological techniques designed to break down victims' mental defenses. The surgical processing procedures developed by the family represented some of the most advanced organ extraction techniques available in the 1890s, enabling systematic harvesting of multiple organs from individual victims while maintaining tissue quality necessary for commercial applications. These procedures were continuously refined based on customer feedback and operational experience. The waste disposal systems implemented by the family included methods for eliminating all traces of victims' bodies after valuable organs had been extracted, along with procedures for disposing of blood, tissue, and other materials that could not be sold commercially. These systems were essential for maintaining operational security over extended periods. The evidence destruction protocols employed by the family included systematic elimination of personal effects, documents, and other materials that could link missing persons to their trading post. These protocols were coordinated with victim processing activities to ensure that no evidence survived that could expose their criminal enterprise to official investigation. The transportation logistics developed by the family included sophisticated systems for moving harvested organs from their processing facility to customers across the frontier region while maintaining tissue viability and avoiding detection by authorities. These systems enabled reliable commercial operations over vast geographic areas with primitive transportation infrastructure. The quality assurance programs implemented by the family included systematic testing and evaluation of harvested organs to ensure they met customer specifications, along with procedures for handling defective products and managing customer complaints. These programs enabled them to maintain high customer satisfaction while building reputation for reliable service. The customer service protocols developed by the family included procedures for managing relationships with corrupt medical practitioners, coordinating delivery schedules, and handling special orders for specific organ types. These protocols enabled them to maintain steady demand for their products while expanding their customer base through referrals and reputation. The market intelligence gathering conducted by the family included systematic monitoring of medical developments, demand trends, and competitive activities that might affect their business operations. This intelligence enabled them to adapt their methods and pricing to maintain competitive advantage while maximizing profits from their criminal activities. The beginning of the systematic investigation that would ultimately destroy the Bellinger family's criminal enterprise began with Marcus Webb's desperate arrival at the Pine Ridge Sheriff's Office in March 1897. Webb's detailed account of his experiences provided investigators with their first comprehensive understanding of the family's systematic organ trafficking operation. Marcus Webb's background as an experienced traveling salesman had provided him with skills in observation and evaluation that proved crucial for his survival and subsequent testimony. His commercial experience had taught him to assess people and situations carefully, abilities that enabled him to recognize the danger posed by the Bellinger family before it was too late to escape. The circumstances leading to Webb's discovery of the family's criminal activities began with his arrival at their trading post during a late winter storm that made further travel impossible. His initial impressions of the family were positive, as they appeared to be typical frontier merchants who provided essential services to travelers in remote areas. The first indication that something was seriously wrong came when Webb observed inconsistencies between the family's claimed business activities and evidence of their actual operations. The trading post appeared to conduct far less legitimate commerce than would be necessary to support their apparent lifestyle, while various facilities and equipment seemed inconsistent with normal frontier trading operations. The discovery that prompted Webb's escape was his accidental observation of organ extraction procedures being conducted in the basement facility during what he initially assumed was a medical emergency. His realization that he was witnessing systematic murder and organ harvesting prompted his immediate flight through dangerous wilderness to reach authorities. The investigation launched by U.S. Marshal William Crawford, following Webb's report, involved systematic examination of missing person reports from across the region, along with undercover surveillance of the Bellinger trading post to verify Webb's accusations. The investigation revealed patterns of disappearances that strongly suggested systematic criminal activity. The evidence-gathering phase of the investigation included careful documentation of suspicious activities observed at the trading post, along with forensic examination of materials that Webb had described during his testimony. This evidence provided foundation for obtaining search warrants and planning the raid that would expose the full extent of the family's crimes. The raid coordination involved multiple law enforcement agencies and medical professionals who were prepared to examine the evidence and assess the scope of the family's organ trafficking operation. The complexity of the anticipated evidence required specialized expertise that was not typically available for frontier criminal investigations. The tactical approach employed during the raid reflected concerns about the family's known willingness to use violence against potential threats and their intimate knowledge of local terrain that could provide escape routes. The operation involved surrounding the property and conducting simultaneous searches to prevent destruction of evidence or escape by family members. The evidence discovered during the raid exceeded investigators' worst expectations and provided comprehensive documentation of systematic murder and organ trafficking spanning 12 years and 74 victims. The sophistication of the operation shocked experienced law enforcement professionals who had dealt with various forms of frontier violence. The organ processing facility found in the basement represented one of the most advanced surgical operations discovered in the American frontier, featuring specialized equipment, preservation systems, and storage facilities that enabled systematic processing of human victims for commercial purposes. The facility's capabilities demonstrated the systematic nature of the family's criminal enterprise. The business documentation recovered during the investigation included detailed records of murders, organ sales, customer relationships, and financial transactions that provided comprehensive evidence of the family's criminal activities. These records enabled investigators to identify victims, trace organ sales, and understand the structure of the trafficking network. The victim identification process involved matching personal effects and fragmentary remains with missing person reports from across the frontier region. The systematic disposal methods employed by the family made identification challenging, but investigators ultimately confirmed 74 murders committed over 12 years. The customer network exposed through the investigation included corrupt medical practitioners, researchers, and institutions across multiple territories who had purchased human organs while ignoring obvious evidence of their criminal sources. The revelation of this network prompted significant reforms in medical oversight and professional accountability. The prosecution of the Bellinger family required unprecedented coordination between multiple jurisdictions and specialized expertise in both criminal law and medical ethics. The case established important legal precedents for prosecuting organized criminal enterprises while also contributing to development of forensic investigation techniques. The trial proceedings attracted national attention as prosecutors presented evidence of systematic murder and organ trafficking that exceeded anything previously documented in American criminal history. The case challenged public understanding of criminal behavior while establishing new standards for evaluating organized criminal enterprises. The defense strategy attempted to minimize individual culpability by portraying family members as victims of Ezra's influence and control, but the systematic nature of their crimes and evidence of enthusiastic participation undermined these arguments. The prosecution successfully demonstrated that all family members had willingly participated in their criminal enterprise. The verdicts reflected the jury's horror at the systematic betrayal of trust and violation of human dignity represented by the family's crimes. The sentences imposed included death penalties for adult male family members and lengthy prison terms for other participants, establishing precedents for punishing organized criminal activities. The impact of the Bellinger case on American medicine included improved oversight of organ sources, better systems for tracking medical supplies, and increased awareness of ethical issues related to anatomical research. The case contributed to development of professional standards that reduced opportunities for similar criminal exploitation. The influence on law enforcement practices included development of specialized investigation techniques for organized criminal enterprises, improved coordination between multiple jurisdictions, and enhanced training for officers dealing with complex criminal cases involving professional expertise and commercial networks. The victims of the Bellinger family deserve recognition as individuals whose trust in frontier hospitality was exploited by predators who viewed them as commercial commodities rather than human beings deserving basic respect and protection. Their deaths contributed to awareness and reforms that improved safety for travelers while establishing precedents for prosecuting systematic criminal enterprises. The 74 confirmed victims included diverse individuals representing the full spectrum of frontier society. Young prospectors seeking fortune in remote mining claims, experienced merchants transporting goods between isolated settlements, government surveyors mapping territorial boundaries, skilled craftsmen traveling to construction projects, and families seeking new opportunities in Western territories. Among the identified victims was Thomas Henderson, the government surveyor whose murder marked the beginning of the family's systematic organ trafficking operation. Henderson's death demonstrated how quickly the family had evolved from opportunistic killers to systematic commercial predators who viewed human beings as sources of valuable anatomical materials. Another significant victim was Dr. James Morrison, a physician traveling to establish medical practice in a remote mining camp. Morrison's murder was particularly tragic because his medical knowledge could have contributed significantly to frontier healthcare, but his organs were instead harvested and sold to corrupt practitioners who used them for questionable research purposes. The case of Sarah and William Mackenzie, a young couple traveling to their wedding in a distant settlement, illustrated the family's willingness to murder victims whose only crime was trusting strangers who offered hospitality during dangerous travel. Their deaths deprived two families of beloved children while eliminating potential contributions to community development. The murder of Father Miguel Santos, a Catholic priest traveling to establish a mission among frontier settlements, demonstrated the family's complete abandonment of moral constraints in pursuit of commercial profit. Santos's death not only eliminated a source of spiritual guidance, but also deprived isolated communities of essential social services. The systematic killing of children accompanying adult victims revealed the depths of the family's moral corruption and their willingness to eliminate witnesses regardless of age or innocence. These murders were particularly disturbing because children's organs commanded high prices from corrupt medical practitioners who conducted unethical research. The long-term impact of the Bellinger case on American society extended far beyond immediate criminal justice consequences to influence medical ethics, professional oversight systems, and public awareness of the potential for criminal exploitation of technological and scientific advances. The medical profession's response to the case included comprehensive reforms in training, oversight, and ethical standards designed to prevent similar criminal activities from developing within trusted healthcare institutions. These reforms established precedents for professional accountability that influenced medical practice for generations. The legal system's evolution in response to the case included development of specialized procedures for prosecuting organized criminal enterprises, improved coordination between multiple jurisdictions, and enhanced techniques for investigating complex cases involving professional expertise and commercial networks. The social changes prompted by the case included increased awareness of the vulnerability of frontier travelers and the importance of maintaining oversight systems that protected vulnerable populations from exploitation by predators who appeared to offer legitimate services. In conclusion, the deadly legacy of the Bellinger family's hospitality represents one of the most systematic and profitable murder operations in American frontier history, demonstrating how criminal enterprises could exploit professional expertise, isolated locations, and market demand to transform human beings into commercial commodities through organized violence that challenged fundamental assumptions about civilization and moral progress. Their 74 victims deserve to be remembered not as statistics in a criminal case, but as individuals whose hopes for prosperity and contribution to frontier development were destroyed by predators who viewed them as sources of valuable organs rather than human beings deserving protection and respect. The reforms and awareness that developed in response to their deaths continue to protect others from similar exploitation, ensuring that their sacrifice contributed to safer and more ethical medical practices that honor human dignity rather than treating people as commodities for commercial exploitation.